Just interesting enough that we know we count from the second day of Pesach, when we brought the Omer, we count till Shavuos. And everybody knows what the Chinuch says, that we're counting up towards Kabbalah HaTorah, right? Just interesting, if we look at the Psukim, there's really no mention of that. The Psukim says, we have two parshas in the Torah that discuss Sfiras Omer. The first one is in Omer. Shabbos is from the morning of Shabbos. We'll see why it's called Shabbos. From the from the Korban Omer. You bring the Korban Omer on the second day of Pesach. They bring a Korban Omer. And they count from there, Sheva Shabbos is Tiyana, until the end of the Shabbos HaShvius, the seventh week, Tisbu Chamishim Yom, and then we craft a Mincha Chadosh Hashem. Then you bring a new Mincha, which is on Shavuos. We bring a Mincha on the Omer is from the new grains of the barley, and on Shavuos is from the new grains of the wheat. Those are the two Kabbalas you bring. So from one Mincha to the next Mincha we count 50 days, and that's the whole thing. There's no mention here till later. You have to go through the whole Karbonas, all the Karbonas on Shavuos. It says later the Karotzim, the essence are that they should be Yom Tif. So there's really no mention of counting towards Kabbalah HaTorah. And in the Parshas Re'eh is so similar. Parshas Re'eh, it also doesn't say so much. It's also a Shiva Shavuot. It's a new Parsha. Shiva Shavuot is Tisperlach, count 7 weeks. From the time when it starts growing, when the stalks are high, you count 7 weeks, and then you make Chag Shavuos. So this is a little bit better. It says you count 7 weeks and you make Shavuos, so maybe you could say you're counting towards Shavuos. In any case, it seems that for the reason of Sfiras Omer, there seems to be two opposite things. One is counting from the Omer, that's how we count actually. The bracha is right. The nusach we say is Hayoim Shiva Yomim Loim Hashem Shvuachad right Loimer Hayoim Chamisha Yomim Loimer. We count from the Omer Loimer. But you're counting from when you brought the Korban Omer. There's no today is the 42 days left to go for the big day. But that's the way the Chinuch says it. The Chinuch, when he brings the Tamei HaMitzvahs, he says, Shorshei HaMitzvahs Atzar Pshat, because Kol Ikun Shel Yisrael Ein El Torah. The whole Ikr of Klal Yisrael is only the Torah. Because of the Torah, the heavens and the earth and Klal Yisrael was created. And this is the main reason. This is the reason why they came out of Mitzrayim. And therefore, and he says, and Inyan Godel Lahem, it's more important to us, more than getting out from Cheres to Avdus, more than getting out from slavery to freedom, is the fact that we got out and we were able to accept the Torah. Therefore, we can't wait for that day to show our great want towards that day. This language, like a slave that's so hot in such a hot burning sun, he can't wait till he gets to the shade. That's how much we're waiting for this Kabbalah HaTorah. So that's what we're counting. When will this day come? So it's interesting that the Chinuch makes it that we're counting till the day which way it comes, and the Parshat Pshat in the Torah is counting from the Yomer.
Does the Chinuch say that we should be counting 50 on the first day and 49
No.
on the second?
No. He doesn't change the
Everybody
nusach.
says we should count.
Yeah, he doesn't change the nusach. It's just questions what the point is. Now we mentioned on Pesach that it could be an afkamina and halacha. Question is today if Sfiras Omer is deraisa or not. Is Sfiras Omer deraisa? Right, we have a mitzvah Sfiras Omer. Is this a deraisa d'kechiyav, or is this just a zeicha to what they did in the Beis Hamikdash? So we paskin Mikra Din Shulchan Aruch will say we paskin that it's a midrabanan. We paskin it's a chiyav d'rabanan. But the Rambam and the Chinuch holds it's a chiyav d'raisa today. And it's possible the reason they hold it's a chiyav d'raisa is because they're learning the mitzvahs counting towards Shavuos. So we have Shavuos every year. But if you're holding, you're counting from the Omer, We don't have the Omer today. There's no Beis Hamikdash. There's no Omer. So if there's no Omer, if the Sfira is part of the Omer situation, we bring an Omer and then we count 1 day from the Omer, 2 days from the Omer. So then we don't have that today. We don't have the Omer, and therefore we don't have the mitzvah of Sfiras HaOmer. D'oraisa. So Rabbanan zeicha to what was in the Mikdash. So it's machlokes b'shonim. If it's d'oraisa to Rabbanan, and like the Bialacha brings down the Rambam, the Chinuch, and others, the Rabbi, others holds that it's d'oraisa. Many Rishonim holds d'oraisa. The Psak, the Beis Yosef Paskins that it's to Rabbanan. It's the Psak of the Shulchan Aruch that it's to Rabbanan. What we said in Nafkamida is that we could count Bein Hashmashas. In other words, you go to Mincha Mariv, and it's maybe still before the Zman, that Shabbos would be over, it's before Tzeis HaKachavim, but you still count Sfiras HaOmer because it's Bein Hashmashas is a suffix. It's interesting. Suffix D'Rabbanan L'Kula. So even though it's the D'Rabbanan, it's a suffix if it's Yom L'Layla, they allow you to count because Suffix D'Rabbanan L'Kula. If you would hold this D'Oraisa, like any mitzvah D'Oraisa Kriya Shema, you're not Yotze D'Oraisa B'Vadois when davening Mincha Ma'ariv because it's before Tzeis. You have to say over Kriya Shema later after the Zman. A person has to say it's a Chiv D'Oraisa Kriya Shema. A person has to say it over after the Zman. Could be his Yotze Kriya Shema Amita, but he has to say Kriya Shema over later because he davened, let's say, at 20 minutes after Shkia. And the earliest Zman is maybe 40 minutes after Shkia. So here in Canada. So a person has to say again Kriya Shema later because it's d'oraisa, but Sfiras HaOmer, you're not mochid to say later. You said it after you said it Bein Hashmashas, it's D'Rabbanan, the Paskin is D'Rabbanan, the Mechaber, and therefore you have to Bein Hashmashas. Mechaber also holds the Chatchila, a person should wait till it's night. A person should wait till it's night because every mitzvah you should wait till it's night. That's the proper time. But we're worried, you're going to go home and you're going to forget to say Sfira. It's very hard to remember to say Sfira. So therefore, if you're unsure and you're down with a million, you say it was a million. This way, you won't forget. That outweighs the chashash. You might forget later. And it's better to say it to be yotze.
Also, you can say Kriya Shema twice. You don't say Sfiras HaOmer twice.
Well, you could say it twice. What I do is that we'll see. What I do is that I say Kriya Shema if I have to daven with the earlier minions. I say Kriya Shema Bein Hashmashas with a bracha, with a tzibur. But then later, when you say Kriya Shema again at night, you say it again, just to be yotze the shittas that holds the rice, and maybe you weren't yotze.
That's what Kriya Shema.
Sfira also without a bracha.
Sfira,
You could say Sfira without a bracha. You could say Hayom.
Which time?
Today you could say.
When do you not say the bracha?
If you said a bracha already in shul, so you're not going to say it again later when you say it again at night.
So if you're going to say it twice, you should say the bracha in shul and then the second after that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or say not say it with the
shul.
bracha in shul.
If you know for sure you'll say it later, we'll see. We'll get to that. That's our halacha. We'll see. It's a very complicated halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. But the simplest thing to do is you say it in shul. You might forget later. So Kriya Shema also. Kriya Shema, there's brachas Kriya Shema, right? You have the brachas of Mariv. So there are some people, Rabbi Yosheber, he says, someone told me, he says if he has to daven Mincha Mariv, so he's just daven Shemoneh Esrei, he doesn't do Smichas Gula Tefillah, he just daven Shemoneh Esrei, and later at home at night he says Kriya Shema with the brachas Kriya Shema. Many Rishonim hold like that since Kriya Shema is the Rashi, you should say it with the brachas after the Zman. Halacha l'maisa, we don't hold like that. We say once it's already Bein Hashmashas, so we say Kriya Shema with the brachas, but later at night you say again Kriya Shema without the brachas. You already said brachas, you have to say it again. But you say it at night. There's a lot of Rishonim on this question how to go about it if you're davening. But the idea is that that's based on the fact that Sfiras HaOmer is D'Rabbanan. Sfiras HaOmer is D'Rabbanan, and I was saying it could be totally, possibly, it could be totally in what the Tamei HaMitzvah says. If it's based on the Omer, then it's D'Rabbanan. If it's based on, doesn't do with the Omer, it's going towards Kabbalas HaTorah, it's d'oraisa.
What's the significance of counting if it's not towards Shavuos? If it's with respect to the Omer, I'm not really sure I ever understand.
What's the Tam HaMitzvah for that, if it's towards the Omer? If you don't talk about what the Tam is. We discussed it a little bit now what the Tam is. If it's towards the Omer. Yeah. You have to know what the Omer signifies. In other words, that the Omer is the... what is the Omer? What is the Omer? The Omer is a carbon that allows us to eat the new wheat, the new crop that grows. Right? Now, Chutz La'aretz, most people are not makbid on eating Yoshan because it's a suffix, it's Tzveika, there's Ramah on it, why we will make it. But now it's Yisrael, they will machmer, you don't eat from the new crop until after the Omer. We don't bring the carbon Omer today, so they don't eat it till after the day of the Omer.
That's the first day. That's the first day.
First day.
So, but his question is...
Yeah, we'll get to it.
We
have to know what the Omer is first. What's the Omer? So the Omer allows you to eat from the Chodesh, new crop. So after Pesach, after the first day, second day of Pesach, you can start eating from the new crops. But the concept is...
How would you define new crops? From what time would that be?
So new crops is crops that were grown from after the Omer was given. The summer crop, in other words, the summer crop that was grown, not the summer crop, I think it's called, I don't know if it's called winter summer, but what's planted after the Omer, was planted and took root after the Omer was already given, so that's already a new crop. So it comes out, it's not relative until you harvest it, which is Sukkot time.
From the previous year or this year's Omer?
Previous year. In other words, let's say today, someone plants wheat now today. The farm, they plant it, they make a summer crop now, and they plant, and then they harvest at Sukkot time. So that wheat that you harvest Sukkot time, you're not going to be able to eat until the next year, Pesach. Right, that's Chodesh. The crops that were already took root, already took root, and that's already litter with the Omer.
So
but it's significant. That's what the carbon Omer is.
So that means that if you planted a crop today,
right,
and you harvested it in the fall,
right,
you wouldn't be able to eat it until after Pesach next year.
Right.
So basically, whatever you're planting today, you eat a year
right,
from now.
Right. So it used to be that most of the crops in America were all Yoshin because they had so much extra wheat, so they kept them using the older wheat that was around, that was already harvested a while back. It was in more recent years that they started first sending food to the Russians and then dumping them in the sea to keep the prices up. Whatever they did with it. But the crops became more new crops, and then you get into the question of Chodesh and Yoshin. But the concept is that we don't eat from our crop until we bring a carbon. The first thing a person does is makdash, a part of his crop, for the Rebbeinu Shalom. And the idea was, we mentioned that there's only two things in the Torah called, what's the Omer? It's called the Omer, right? Omer is an Asirus Ha'efa. All the Kabbanis it says in Asirus Ha'efa. Omer is a measurement. What's an Omer? Omer is a measurement. But there are two times the Torah uses the word Omer, measurement. We have by the carbon Omer and by the man. The man was an Omer Lagul Goylus. That was the amount the person had. So the man was Lechem and Hashemayim, heaven bread that was sent down, right? Lechem and Hashemayim. And our crops that we grow, we bring an Omer, we bring a carbon Omer to the Rebbeinu Shalom, which ingrains in us that all the crops, all the parnasa that we have is the same as the man. There's no difference between the man and the food that we grow. There's no difference. It just looks different, but there's no difference. That comes from Rebbeinu Shalom. And by us taking a portion, anything a person does, if you take a person has a talent and he uses a portion of it for chesed, so what he's doing is showing that everything he has is from the Rebbeinu Shalom. So then even the stuff that he eats becomes like the man. That's the lesson, but it's a very important lesson when we're going towards Shavuos. We're counting back from the Omer. It's a very important lesson that a person, this is the second day of the Omer, that this is a lesson that we have to utilize. A person spends most of his day in Parnasa, so he has to know that the Omer is just as important as, that's probably the biggest preparation for Kabbalah Satayah. It's not two distinct things. But in any case, there's another Dvar Musa I mentioned once. We'll get to the halacha in a moment. But another Dvar Musa here that sometimes a person counts. Yeah, you're counting to the big day. Okay, you're counting that person's learning Daf Yomi. Okay, so how many blot left to Erevin? Oh, 100 blot left, 99 blot left, 98 blot left. This could be a little discouraging. But if you count and you say, Oh, we're holding 20 blot, 21 blot, are you ready to? 22 blot, are you ready to? So you don't have to look at the finish line. If a person looks at the finish line, he'll give up before he gets there. You saw it in Yiddishkeit is one Mishnah a day, one Mishnah a day. I learned another Mishnah, I accomplished another Mishnah. Before you know it, you look back and you'll say, wow, look how far I got. But that's not, the point is, we always count from the starting point. I did one, I did two, I did three, I did another Mishnah, finishing Shas, finishing Siddur Mishnah. Right? How many years? 5, 6 years. Imagine we look, 5 years, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. 5 years to finish Mishnah, it's not worth it. No. One Mishnah today, another, I did another parak. Before you know it, turn around, wow, whole Shas. So this is also a lesson in the spirit. That's how we count. We count here. Mechal Doim, Beis Yom Loim, Shosh Yom Loim. So okay, so let's go through two halachas here. Two interesting. So the first one, you mentioned about paying the shmoshes. We do it. So there's actually a very interesting mechaber over here. The mechaber says. Let me just get the place here. The mechaber says. Pesach. Hamaspalel l'matzimim midboid yom. If you're davening with the tzibur when it's still day, so it says moini mem b'lei bracha, count without a bracha, and if you remember at night, make a bracha. So what does it mean when it's still day? So there's a whole shaila over here what it means. So the Mishabur says yeshamay acharonim, that say it means bein hashmoshes. Midboid yom doesn't mean when it's daytime. Because when it's daytime, you won't make a bracha. So it's interesting. It says yesh ve'achronim because what do the other achronim hold? It doesn't tell us what the other achronim hold. But the Mishabur is pretty firm about this. That it doesn't mean before day actually begins, because before the night begins. Because before the night begins, you make an early Shabbos, for example. That's really midboid yom. You have to plag a mincha. Kuli amamaskim. You're not going to count. You're not going to count. So yesh v'achronim means you're counting. It's mein hashmoshes. And the Mechaber says count without a bracha, because it's a suffix, it's mein hashmoshes. And then if you remember at night, make a bracha and count again. That's a very interesting thing. If you're already yotzi your mitzvah, how do you make a bracha and count again? It's like, right? You said Tzviyas Omer in shul, mein hashmoshes, and then you got home at night and remembered, so now you're going to make a bracha and count again. How could you do that? Maybe you were yotzi the mitzvah, bein hashmoshes and suffix. Maybe I was yotzi the mitzvah. How can I make a bracha and count again? Maybe it's a suffix bracha levatala. So the Mishnah says you have to think a tanai. If I remember, you say like this: I'm going to count now, Tzviyas Omer. If I forget to count later, I want this to be my mitzvah. If I don't forget to count later, then this shouldn't be the mitzvah, and then my counting later should be the mitzvah. That's how he learns that you should do.
So if you didn't count later, it means you says Tzviyas Omer without bracha. Is that fair? Right?
You did it without a bracha, but at least you counted.
You count. So you continue counting.
So many achronim take issue with this, and this is a big shaila. If I can make a tanai on something on kavana, could you make a tanai? For example, many of us do the Shabbos morning. Come to daven Shabbos morning, 9 o'clock minyan, and it depends on what time of the year. Sometimes my Kriya Shema, at least the earliest my Kriya Shema, could be 9:15. You're not going to make my Kriya Shema. Sometimes you won't even make the second my Kriya Shema, depending, what country you're living in, what time of the year it is, and what time you start davening. Go to the 10 o'clock minyan, far chance you'll make a my Kriya Shema. So what's the eitzah? What do you do? So some say very simple eitzah. But in the beginning, in the beginning of davening, you say, you say, okay, listen. If I make this, if the halacha is like, let's say I'm making the earliest my Kriya Shema. So if the halacha is like the guy that I could be yotze with the latest my Kriya Shema, I don't want to be yotze now. If I'm going to be yotze later, I don't want to be yotze now. But if I'm going to miss this my Kriya Shema, so then I want to be yotze now when you say Kriya Shema now.
The whole thing.
Then you say the whole thing. At least all the deraisa. At least you said the first parsha. That's a deraisa. But the question is, could I make a tanai on a kavana for a mitzvah? Am I thinking to be yaitz? I'm not thinking to be yaitz. I'm making a condition. If that happens, that I want to be yaitz, I don't want to be yaitz, or any Yom Tov has a whole tshuva on it. Could you do it? Could you not do it? Going in the Tazawiyah, could I make could I do a mitzvah, not a Maisa mitzvah, just a saying a mitzvah with a condition.
By the time you figured it out, you could have gone to an earlier minute.
Yeah. So in any case, what the oilam does is the opposite. You yaitzu with a bracha. You can be yaitzu with a bracha, because since we always do abonin, you can make a bracha. Especially if it's already bein hashmashos, it's very little later. They make a little break between mincha and ma'ariv. There's a little tehillim, and the Rav speaks a few minutes. So there's a little break. So it could be you're already going some shittas, you already passed bein hashmashos. So therefore,
Safek Laila.
it's a Safek Laila.
Based on the fact that it might be.
Yeah, might be Laila. Safek Laila, especially if you wait a little bit. It's at least after 13 and a half minutes. It could be it's ready after Tzeisak Chavim. Going some shittas. So you have some kind of Laila, so you can make a bracha and say it. And then to be yotzi the other shittas later, you'll say later the Omer, if you remember, you'll say it without a bracha later. That's the Shiloh what to do.
Have you noticed anywhere that mentions about after flood? Because I'm just reading here in the art scroll, Pastor, right? But he says that there are some postscripts that even believe that if you do it at flood mincha, it's good enough.
It's a very difficult shita to passing like that. Definitely can't make a bracha on that. Question is, if you did that,
he says that there are that believe you are yotze with the bracha at that point. I found that odd as well.
The art school siddur.
Yep, it's right in here.
It's down here. Let's see it. Pashas, you can't do that.
As he says, there are some postscripts. He doesn't say generally.
No. Oh, fleiplag mincha. Yesh poisu shiyatsa v'achshav. If he did it. He's not saying you should do it. He says if he counted. Yeah, he's not saying you should count before plag mincha. After plag mincha, he's saying if you counted, so then he's saying you shouldn't make a bracha later. That's what he's saying. If you counted after plag mincha, you shouldn't make a bracha. I don't know if the Mishnah holds like that. Okay, he has to know. If he counted before, if he by mistake, you see, there's halacha if it was a cloudy day and you thought it was night and you counted, and it came out that it was still daytime. In those days it was harder to tell if it was day or night. They didn't have the clocks we had. So Shiloh.
Why do you think the Mechaber said not to say a bracha?
Because of a suffix. It's a suffix. It might be night.
No.
Oh, he brings it here. Okay, he brings down. The halacha brings down that some that say he made yom plag mincha. Yeah. The halacha brings down. Yeah. Yeah, it says mikra dinner. You're not yotze then, but yeah, if you did it, then you shouldn't. If you did it, it says some places used to do it because since they wouldn't come back to shul to daven early mincha, they wouldn't come back to shul, so they were afraid people would forget, so they did it. But he says we shouldn't do it with a bracha. Yeah. That lady on the Shiloh, yeah.
So why do you think that the Mechaber said during Ben Hashmashos, if you're going to say not to say?
Because it's a suffix. This is a big question. What to do? This is a question. Do you say suffix rabban lakula? Do you say suffix rabban lakula to make a bracha? To l'chatchila, suffix rabban lakula means usually b'diavad. If I did the mitzvah, suffix is lakula. But to go l'chatchila, go ahead and make a bracha misafik is a chiddush. You could do that. Yeah. Now, what always comes up many times is a question of person forgot. What a chiv is, if you could continue saying was a bracha or not. Right? If he forgets a day, could he continue saying what's a bracha?
The entire day. We didn't even say just.
He said forgot one full day, forgot. So we mentioned this also. We mentioned on Pesach that there's a machlokes. There's a machlokes if it's one big mitzvah, every day is many parts of one bigger mitzvah, or if every day is a separate mitzvah. Now the simple logic would tell us that if it's one big mitzvah and there's different parts to the mitzvah, so if you missed a day, you blew it. Blew it. But if it's a separate mitzvah, so maybe just because I missed a day today, I have a separate mitzvah, I could do it again. L'maisa, there's a svara to say even if it's separate mitzvahs, but I missed a count. I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't count 1, 2, 3, 5. It doesn't work. So if I missed 4, even if it's a separate mitzvah, number 5 it's not number 5. Yeah. So that's a question. So could I count if I missed a day? Could I count? The Bahag says, and Tosfos says in Megillah, that if you missed a full day, you can't count.
With the bracha.
You can't count. Well, he says you can't count. That Yoshi mitzvah. Yeah, you can't count. But most poskim are choiluk, and they hold the Rosh, the Meiri, Tosfos and Menachos. He brings the Ramban and Aguda, Ureim. They all hold that even if you miss a day, you can still count again.
Do they hold it to Rabbanim or Deraisa?
Well, it's the Rabbanim or Deraisa. Either way, yeah. The question is, The question is, they hold each day as a separate mitzvah, and therefore I could, even if I miss a day, I could still make up and count.
What happens if you count the wrong day?
The wrong day is like you missed it.
It's like you missed
The wrong day is like you missed. So that's machlokes. So what do we do? We're machlokes. If you miss a day, could you count again? So what we do is like this: that Ikra didn't really we hold, very poskim hold that if you miss a day, you could count after. But we're choishish for the shittas that hold that no, you miss a day, you can't count. So therefore, if we miss a full day, we count without a bracha. We continue counting without a bracha.
There's no downside in counting.
There's no downside in counting. Without a bracha. Right. But the question is, if I have another suffix, any sort of suffix involved here, I could add it on, and then I could count with the bracha. So, for example, if he missed a full day, but he remembers, let's say he's not sure if he missed a full day. He's not 100% sure. Someone came to me, I'm not sure, now that I think about it, last night maybe I counted the wrong day, It sounds like I maybe counted the wrong day, I'm trying to remember. But if there's any suffix, maybe you did it right, so they could add it on, and you can make a sveka l'chumer here, l'kula actually, you can make a sveka, you can make a bracha, because since the ikra didn't we hold that it's a separate mitzvah and you can count every day, so therefore if you have another suffix involved, you can add it on and count.
If you hold it's rabbinic.
You could be no job, but even if not, it's sveka works on deraisa. Right. But even without that, ikra didn't we hold that it's a separate mitzvah. So, well, let's say a person misses the mitzvah of counting is really only at night. The time to count is tamimus, is when it's night. In the daytime, you're not really yotzi a mitzvah of counting. The zman to count is at night. Let's say you forgot in the night and you counted in the day. So even though you're not yotzi a mitzvah of counting in the day, but you counted a day, so it's not like counting 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5. Because I counted the day, even though I counted it late and I wasn't a shikla chiddush, even though I wasn't really yotzei my mitzvah, but I counted the day, so I could continue counting for. There are some that want to say that even if I miss a day totally, I could come the next night and say, yesterday was 4, today is 5. But that's a very chiddush. But and during the daytime, if I remember, or even we said if I forget, but I remembered bein hashmoshes, okay? Let's say I forget a whole day, I'm up the next night, and everybody's about to count Sfir Soimer, you're davening, it's bein hashmoshes, everybody's about to count Sfir Soimer, you say, Sfir Soimer, hey, wait a minute, I forgot yesterday. No problem, get up and say, Hayoim, Shnei Moshe, Hayoim, yesterday's count, today's count, without a bracha, you can't make a bracha, let's count tonight. Yeah. So without a bracha, make yesterday's count, and wait till it says like a chav, and wait till it's Friday night, and then count with a bracha the next day.
Could you actually do them both?
Yeah, it would be a little bit.
Would that be sorcery?
It could be a type of disaster, yeah. So there's a cool involved here, because since the Ikra didn't count separate name, Now, there's an interesting Noida Yehuda. Maybe Yehuda says like this. Maybe Yehuda has a tshuva. Rabbi says also someone that's a oinein. Someone that's a oinein, we know, someone like Eleno lost a family member, is a oinein. Oinein doesn't do mitzvahs as long as he's involved. He has to till the kvura. He's involved. He can't do the mitzvahs. He doesn't do mitzvahs. So the question is, could he count Sriya Saimer? So the question is twofold. A, is he allowed to count Sriya Saimer? He's not supposed to do mitzvahs, so maybe he's not allowed to count Sriya Saimer. And so the Rabbi Yehuda says, so I saw interesting like this. Rabbi Yehuda says a chiddush that he's allowed to count Sriya Saimer without a bracha. Obviously, he's allowed because he's not mechuyev mitzvah, so he can't make a bracha. But he's allowed to count without a bracha in order that the next day he should be able to continue counting. So the Rebbe says if a person's a oinein, so that night he can't, he's not supposed to, he doesn't daven, he's not supposed to daven. He's put him in a mitzvah, but he can say the Sriya Saimer just in order to facilitate that the next day he can be able to continue counting with the bracha. This is what the Rebbe says. Now, the Malbim I saw in the Eretz Chamda on the Parshas HaTorah, he says as follows. He says that he declares that maybe the counting that he counts doesn't work. If someone's, let's say, potter from a mitzvah and he does the mitzvah, so is that counted as a mitzvah at all, or it's not a mitzvah b'chlal? So if you have someone that's he says, we'll get to a minute. He says someone that's he's potter from already in this potter from the mitzvahs, so he does the mitzvah. He's not even doing a mitzvah. He's not doing a mitzvah. So if he's counting Sriya Saimer, let's say a guy's sleeping in the middle of his sleep. He talks in his sleep, and he says Sriya Saimer. He's not doing a mitzvah. So you're not doing a mitzvah. So maybe that's not count. It's not like you're counting the Sriya. So it's not like you're counting the Sriya. So it won't even help for you afterwards. You don't like it. Why?
If the time is that all you need is count, which is a way that each one really separate mitzvahs themselves in accounting. So you need a count. You don't need a mitzvah, but all you need is a count.
You don't need a mitzvah b'chal. Why? It's like garden if I counted the day. Oh, one second. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Hold on a second.
It has an element of spina.
Yeah. Wait a second. It's good. Hold on. Let's go take this slow. First of all, I would say similar to what he's saying, that if let's say we said if you missed a night, you didn't count at night, but you count in the day, it could be you're not yoytzi your mitzvah b'chlal, but since you count the day, so now you can get them even though you're not even yoytzi your mitzvah. But the truth is, the Malbim is a good svara. That's also a chiddush. No, stop counting. Counting Sriya Saimer means you're doing a ma'aser mitzvah counting. Stop counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're counting. You're doing a mitzvah, and if that's not counted as a mitzvah, maybe you should have continued. He doesn't say halacha l'ma'aser. He clears the shaila, and we're missing the hemshech. He clears, and then we don't have the rest of his piece. But he does tell too the same shaila. He says this is the same shaila that if someone becomes bar mitzvah in the middle of Sriya Saimer, famous shaila, someone becomes bar mitzvah in Sriya Saimer, could he continue counting? What's the shaila? The shaila says this. He didn't count the first half because he wasn't bar mitzvah yet. So could he continue counting with a bracha the second half? If a person doesn't count the first 10 days, he can't continue counting. So if he became bar mitzvah in the middle, he says, but maybe since he counted, even though he was a cotton, so didn't have a shem mitzvah, does that work to allow him to continue counting? He says it's the same shaila, someone who's a cotton, as someone that's a oinein, if he could continue counting afterwards.
Doesn't
Now
make it still? Oh, he does.
He stops there. We're missing the Amshach. He doesn't have any more. But the Achroinim say
what the conclusion is.
He doesn't say he's missing. We're missing the. It's missing. It's missing. It wasn't printed. We're missing them. He doesn't come to say the conclusion. But the Achroinim discussed this matter at length. Whether you can say this way, you're saying that a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, since a chinuch is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, if a person does a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, if he's yotzei the deraisa with that mitzvah. Just like if a person makes kiddush, according to the Mordechai, if we make an early Shabbos, a person makes kiddush, he makes a bracha, he makes a whole kiddush. For the al-kais, he makes a bracha, but it's not Shabbos. It's not Shabbos till later. So no, I'm making Shabbos early. So the Mordechai holds, some Rishonim holds the Raisa, I make Shabbos early. But the Mordechai holds it's not Shabbos, it's not the Raisa, it's not the Raisa Shabbos. You're not Chiyav Kiddush the Raisa until later. It's only the Rabbanan. But nonetheless, since I did a mitzvah Rabbanan, that works for the Deraisa later. It's a whole complicated sugya. So the same concept is Shtaltsu is doing a cotton. If a cotton does a mitzvah, that could work, be able to continue Deraisa. This concept needs a lot of explanation. But
So the Malbim said, well, we didn't hear the end of the bar mitzvah. What did the Malbim say in regard to counting the Omer?
The Malbim puts up the question. If you're saying the Omer and you're not Yotzei the mitzvah, does that allow you to continue counting later?
Right. So what did he say in regard to the Omer then?
That's his question.
He just raised it. Still questions.
We're missing the end of the particular Torah. We only have the beginning. He puts that question forth. In any case, halacha l'maisa, this shaila, if you could continue counting, most places can say that even if you're not being yotzei the mitzvah, the mere fact that you counted, and by cutting also, even if he's not being yotzei deraisa the mitzvah, the mere fact that he counted is considered a svira that he could continue counting afterwards with a bracha. I mentioned that when I was growing up, it was the year my bar mitzvah. My bar mitzvah was during the svira. So Nissen Alpert, he was nifter, he was a Talmud of Moshe Feinstein. He was Moshe Feinstein's main Talmud. His main Talmud was Nissen Alpert. He was nifter 6 months after Rabbi Moshe. He had Yana Machla. He was young, very young, but he was his biggest Talmud. And he became the Rav of the Agudah in Farakaway. If they didn't have a Rav for years and years, and he came in. Imagine walking into a shul, but they didn't have a Rav for years and years. He comes in, they didn't listen to him until he got sick. Take it off tape. But in any case, he gave a drasha. Shabbos Agol drasha was on this question of cotton, whether he could, whether he becomes bar mitzvah, whether he says, whether he could count Sviras Omer. And he had, it was a long pilpul. He had rise this way, that way. It was a longer pilpul. So I went over to me. I said, "What do I do?" I said, I would like to count with a bracha later.
You should count.
What? You should count. Yeah, you should count with a bracha. But that's it. What's interesting is that this question of a oinein is only relevant if he's an oinein during the middle days, a day that he's missing. But let's say it's the last day, the 49th day he's an oinein. So there, it's not relevant to continue counting afterwards, because he's not going to count the next day. So if it's not relevant to count the answer, Shlomo Zalman says is Pashut that he shouldn't count. He shouldn't do it. The only reason, the only heter, really he's part of a mitzvah. He's not supposed to be doing mitzvahs. The only heter he has to do a mitzvah is just push it out, So the only heter to count is because he wants to be able to continue counting later. But if he didn't, if it's not relevant for later, so then he doesn't count with a bracha. He doesn't count, period. Another interesting shaila is, let's say a person forgot a full day. Forgot the full day. So what does he do? He can't make a bracha anymore. The Chomer doesn't make a bracha. Okay, so he has someone else. Might see him bracha. It's proper that when you do a mitzvah, you should do a bracha on the mitzvah. It's not just an added bonus you do a bracha. It's part and parcel of a mitzvah to make a bracha on it. And if a person is counting without a bracha, it's not so geschmack. So the best thing is if he gets someone to be mighty him the bracha. So if you have a shliach tzibur gets up to daven, the shliach tzibur should have in mind he's being mighty to people that forgot, people that forgot. He's being mighty those people that forgot. This way they can listen to the bracha, say amen, and then continue counting. It's important. People should know that, because if you don't have a mind to be mighty in the bracha, he's not going to be yotza. So you have to have a mind to be mighty in the bracha. So the question came up: if let's say the guy who's davening for the Amud, he's a chiyuv, he's getting up to davening, and he missed a day. Well, bushas, he's going to get up there, has to ask someone else to say the bracha. I think that's why some places instituted that the Rav makes the bracha. Now, if the Rav forgot, it's a problem. But let's say he forgot. So the question is, could he say, okay, I can't make a bracha, but there's someone out there that forgot, I'll be moitzi him, I'll make the bracha, and I'll be moitzi him the bracha, and then he could say Sviras Omer. Let's say I'm davening for the Amud, or let's say I'm the Rav and I'm making a bracha, and I forgot one day. Now I get up there, what do I do? So a very simple answer. There's someone out there that forgot, let's hope, there's someone out there that forgot to count one day, and I'll make the bracha, I'll be moitzi him. This way, even though for myself I can't make the bracha, but I'll be moitzi him. And then nobody has to know that I forgot to make I missed a day.
And if there's no one that missed a day, what happens?
Okay, let's say there's someone that missed a day. Let's just say if someone missed a day. So could I do that?
And both the cause
I don't get that.
and the
It's the way
person.
around. Something sounds wrong with that. Something sounds wrong with that.
Good, I missed
It's
it.
the other way around, isn't it? Someone has been counting, and you're going to be.
Oh, you're right. Because if the guy missed a day, how could I be moitzi him?
Yeah, I can mostly.
Doesn't make sense. Right. If the person missed a day, so then he doesn't need a bracha. Right. It has to be if someone's not going to make a bracha, and I'm going to have to be moitzi him. That's correct. If someone missed a day, so both of us.
He's waiting for you.
We're in the same boat.
He's waiting for you to make a bracha.
Both of us are in the same boat. Yeah, you're right. It has to be someone that has to be yotze the mitzvah. Correct. It has to be someone that has to be yotze the mitzvah. I have to tell him not to make a bracha. I have to tell this person not to make a bracha, and then be mighty him.
Yeah, how can you be more?
Oh, so zak the pri chodesh. If you don't have a chiyuv, if you might be, there's a tzad that maybe I'm potter from the mitzvah, right? Maybe I'm potter from the mitzvah. So if I'm potter from the mitzvah because I missed a day and I can't do the mitzvah, so then I can't. How could I be moitzi someone that has a chiyuv? Someone that's not mechuyev b'davar can't be moitzi someone that's not mechuyev b'davar. That's the pri chodesh holds. But many places disagree and hold that it's not called I'm not mechuyev b'davar. I'm just an oinus. Basically, I have a chiyuv. I have a chiyuv to do Sfirus Omer. I just can't because I can't count 1, 3, 5. I missed a day. But really, I have a chiyuv. I have a chiyuv to count Sfirus Omer. I practically can't count Sfirus Omer because I messed up a day. But I'm not called not mechuyev b'davar, and therefore I can make a bracha moitzi. And actually, Beis Halevi did this. Beis Halevi got up to be moitzi someone, I guess someone that wasn't yotze yet, and he davened for the Yomad, and it was moitzi someone else. So that is an eitzah for someone that has a chiyuv and he's going to daven and he doesn't want to. He tells his friend, listen, do me a favor, I'll be moitzi you, and I have in mind to be yotze for my bracha. And he gets up and he's moitzi him.
Does the Chazan have that in mind for everybody down
The
there?
Chazan B'chlal should have in mind for anyone who wasn't yotze, there was a suffix that he could be moitzi him. He could be moitzi him. It is possible that if you have a whole tzibur that maybe forgot, and you have a whole tzibur that may have missed a day, and the question is, could one person get up and be moitzi him a bracha? It's possible that one person could do it, because again, Ikar Din we hold that each day is a separate mitzvah, and I can make a bracha. So b'shas atchak, if nobody's making a bracha, it's possible that one person could get up and do it. It's probably not so relevant. Most people have one person at least that remembered. But again, the Goin's nusach in the Sfirus Omer was he made the bracha Baruch Atah Hashem Hashem Zal Sfirus Omer Shehayoim Yoim Chamish Yom Loimer. So the Goin's nusach was the bracha, the count is actually a continuation from the bracha, as part of the bracha. Baruch Atah Hashem 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 Zal Sfirus Omer, because today is 1 day Loimer, 2 day Loimer. So it's actually the bracha. The guy holds is we say the sphere with the bracha. It's not just there's a bracha like you make a bracha for a mitzvah and then you do the mitzvah. He actually held it was one long. The mitzvah is actually in a bracha format. So we don't do it like that. But there is an importance of making a bracha part of the mitzvah. It shouldn't be pushed aside. The person should try to do the mitzvah properly with the bracha. Just end off. We're going to go later. I'll just end off. We said two of the reasons Sfirus Omer you're counting from the Omer, you're counting towards Kabbalah Torah. In the Zohar, not that I learned Zohar, but in the Zohar, I said it here. In the Zohar, the reason we count Sfirus Omer is Shavuos Tisbolach. We count 7 times 7, but 7 we know every woman counts Zayin Nekiyim before she goes to the mikveh. So we are going from Mitzrayim, the tomb of Mitzrayim, we're going to Tyra, to Klal Yisrael, so we also have to have 7 clean days, 7 clean weeks we have, 7 times 7. That's the ultimate Tyra. Now it might sound very, somewhere we're in the Shemayim, but if you look at what goes on, it's very similar. A person doesn't really do anything. I'm not doing anything I'm supposed to work on myself, I'm supposed to grow, I'm not supposed to do anything. But all I'm doing by the Sfirus Omer is I'm just counting days. So I'm doing, today's day 1, then go home. Today's day 2. But the mitzvah of a woman also, she becomes Torah, she's just supposed to count the days. She doesn't actually physically count them, but she's supposed to know that there's a 1 day, 2 days, she's supposed to know. It's halacha. In other words, she forgot one day she didn't realize she was you made Torah. It could be that day doesn't count. Just has to be. The Rebbeinu Shalom gives us the Torah. But you just do a little bit. The Rebbeinu Shalom gives us. We just have to be aware that it's going on. We have to be aware that we're holding in the Sriya Omer. Today's first day, today's second day, and you count it. And the ultimate Torah is the Rambam says. The Rambam says after the whole Sefer on Torah, the Rambam Sefer on Tumah and Torahs, he says that even though that these are things which are chayk, it's very hard to understand. Tumah and Torahs, it's one of the most complicated sugyas. It's good we don't really have Daf Yomi on it, but it's one of the most complicated sugyas in Shas. There's so much lumdis and Ian in there. It's a chayk. But the Rambam says there's still a remez yesh b'davar. The Rambam in the Al Chazaka, he says because someone that wants to go become tar, what does he do? He's tamei, he's all the tumas. What does he do? He plump himself into the mikveh, right? So for someone who wants to become tar, he says from the tumas olam, from the tumah of the world, he just has to plop himself into the mei hadas. That's what he calls it. The Torah is the mei hadas. It's the waters of the mind. So you put yourself, Rosh Ruba, you put yourself into the Torah, and then you could cleanse yourself. That's the biggest cleansing. So Zohar speaks it out.
Who says
the Rambam? The Rambam at the end of Torah, at the end of the Yad Chazaka on Torah, and it's actually the lashon of the Zohar is that we count until the day that we get to the day that we got the Torah, and that's the Torah. That is the Torah we have. And if we say it, those who say, I don't know if you say it, but some people say it. There's a whole list to say here, before and afterwards. So that's what we say. We say, Tarenu, Klipno Sein, Tumaseinu, Knufksaftem. That's what we say. It's based on Zohar. We say Torah Nafsham Kamizumasam. But the ultimate Torah, we're just counting up to the day we go into the mikveh, or the day we go into the mikveh, Shavuos. This day we'll spend the whole night, one thing, learning, involved, totally, deeply engrossed in Torah study. This is how a person purifies himself. Many people have issues. Many people have questions. Many people maybe did things wrong. Everybody did something. Everybody did mistakenly, or not knowingly, not realizing the depths of an issue. People got involved in all kinds of things that there are out there, the lures that there are out there today. People mistakenly or not willingly, or they couldn't control themselves, they got involved in different things. And they walk around with a guilt complex. How do I get out of it? How do I get out of it? The Torah has one eitzah. You put yourself into the Mei Hadas. The person puts himself straight into the Torah, Rosh Verubai, doesn't think about anything else, doesn't think about the past, he goes to the mikvah. Yeah, you have to fix up, that person has to do tshuva, has to do charot, the love, wait for that for Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. So Shavuos is the time a person goes in and he plumps himself into the Torah, into the learning, into the mitzvahs, and he gets involved with it. That's going into the mikvah. So now we have an automatic, the Rosh Hashanah gives us 7 weeks, automatic Torah. We just have to appreciate it, count every day, do learn a daf a day, learn to go to Bashir, get something, get a little bit, get some Torah, and then we come to Shavuos and we accept upon ourselves the Torah fully. That's the ultimate Torah that could change it. Could change a person totally, pull him out of the depths, and Omer could put him into a whole new world and system. It's a beautiful matana the Hashem gave us. May Adas. To get there properly.
Amen.
Use the matanas the Hashem gave us.